Hi, I'm Rachel King. I'm in central London today. I am making a visit to Liberty. There are three things going on there. Firstly, they've got an exhibition up on the fourth floor called I Am, We Are Liberty, which I want to take a look at. They've also got a big installation in one of the atriums, and it's a supersize house made of patchwork panels. More about that later. And the third thing is their autumn-winter 2025 collection, which I'm hoping is in store in the fabric department. So I wanted to take a look at those two things, and I thought it would be nice if you could come with me. So let's go and take a look. So I've started with the exhibition up on the fourth floor, which is called I Am, We Are Liberty. And it's basically a rare glimpse into 150 years of pioneering design. It's curated by Esther Cohen, who's a renowned Italian art historian who's an expert in avant-garde design. So I have incidentally done another video on the 150th anniversary, and I will link that below in the description if you want to go back and watch that too. So I just walked around the exhibition and I filmed as much as I could for you, and as you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful display of artworks and fabric panels. It is absolutely stunning. And they also have, you'll see in a little while, they also have sort of panels of scarf prints as well. It's just an incredible display. If you're into Liberty and if you're into surface pattern and print design, it is an absolute must. I would advise you to get there if you possibly can. It was really, really quite stunning. So I've got a few facts about the 150 years of Liberty. So I'm just going to talk about them as we sort of wander around the exhibition. So Liberty started in 1875 when Arthur Lazenby Liberty opened the Regent Street store. And by 1900, Liberty had kind of become a movement, and now to this day in Italy, the Art Nouveau style is called Liberty style. So lots of significant things have happened along the way. And in 1904, Liberty bought the Merton Printworks, where their fabrics and scarves were block printed. And a little while after that, in 1920, Tarn-Lawn cotton was created when Liberty buyer William Hayes Dorrell discovered silk-like cotton fibres near Lake Torna in East Africa, hence the beautiful Tarn-Lawn that we know and love today. In 1924, the Tudor building, which is the Liberty store now, opened on Great Marlborough Street, which was alongside the Regent Street store, and it had that walkway joining the two, which I can actually remember. And the Tudor building is actually built from the timbers of two ships, HMS Hindustan and HMS Impregnable. Lots of famous people have worn Liberty prints in the 1930s. Queen Elizabeth and her sister Margaret wore them, and in the 60s, cultural icons like Liberty and the Beatles would wear them. Also in the 60s, designers like Yves Saint Laurent and Cacharel used Liberty prints in their collections. Some famous Liberty prints from over the years. In 1887, Hera was created, and in the 30s, prints like Wiltshire and Betsy, I think in 1933 they were created, and they are still going strong today as classics in the Liberty collection. In 1967, Liberty relaunched Ianthe, which is originally from 1902, and in 1968 Bernard Neville, a very influential design director, created Prospect Road, all prints which you probably know. 1975, 50 years ago, was the Liberty Centenary, which was celebrated with a Vogue cover and an exhibition at the V&A. More up to date, Liberty has done collaborations with brands like Hermes and Nike, and in 2014 the printworks moved to Italy. 2021 saw a complete renovation of the Great Two listed building, which brings us up to date to 2025, which is the 150th anniversary. So if you go to the first floor, you will see the Patchwork Collective, which is a collaborative project that Liberty undertook to commemorate the 150th year. And basically they invited their network of artisans, designers and makers to create a collaborative artwork, and it is this supersized patchwork house. And it's described as a physical manifestation of the creativity, community values and talent that make Liberty. So I spent quite a long time filming this. I started on the first floor and went to the galleries upstairs so I could film it from various different aspects, so you could see as many of these beautiful patchwork squares as possible. They did in fact have more panels than they could use, I understand, and if you go to the first floor where it starts, you will see booklets of them, and you can leaf through all these beautiful patchwork panels that have all been individually handmade for this project. So in a minute I'm going to go on to talk about the Autumn Winter 2025 collection. I did see it briefly in store, but I am going to cut back to the studio to talk about that in more detail, some of my favourite prints as well. So this is the collection in store, but as I said, I'm going to cut back to the studio in a minute because I've actually chosen 10 of my favourite prints from this new collection that I'm going to just talk about a little bit. I hope that maybe you've seen this already, and if you've got a favourite print within that collection yourself, just chip in and tell us what you think. Tell us which ones are your favourites. Maybe you were involved and you did one of those collaborative panels for the supersized patchwork house. Please share that with us if you did. It would be great to know. But anyway, this is in the fabric department, and you can see the range here just on the fabric bolts upstairs there. It is a really beautiful collection. It was really, really hard to pick just 10, but let's go back to the studio and talk through them now. So I'm back in the studio and I'm going to go through my top 10 favourite prints. So I've actually chosen 8 from the Autumn Winter collection, which is called From the Studio. And Liberty have also done a little collection of prints which run alongside the exhibition that we were looking at earlier. So I've picked 2 from that collection, but 10 in total. So the Autumn Winter 2025 collection is called From the Studio, and it has 3 narratives, which they often sort of do this and group the prints into sort of collections within the collection. And the 3 areas are craftsmanship, collaboration and collectibles. And really it sort of explores the journey, I quote, from inspiration through drawing, painting and experimenting with digital artwork to the final printed textile. So let us start with, I think this is such a classic Liberty print, and it's called Nell, Annie and May, and this represents their early woodblock printing years, and it is based on a design from the archives. It's absolutely beautiful. I think when you think of Liberty prints, this is sort of it, really. It's a classic. It's a flowering meadow with roses, primroses, carnations, bluebells, daisies and anemones, and they call it, I quote, a quintessential Liberty botanical, and it's part of the craftsmanship narrative. Okay, moving on to Prospect Flower, and if you know the print, the famous Prospect Road print, you immediately understand this, the sort of aesthetic of this print. So it's basically inspired by the 1960s Art Nouveau revival, and it's been hand painted in the design studio. I love this, and it heavily references Bernard Neville's Prospect Road print, which I think I showed you an infographic of it earlier, but you're probably quite familiar with it, with these sort of bold outlines and a flat colour. I think it's fab, and this is from the collectibles narrative. Okay, now moving on to Paisley Fanfare. I do love a Paisley. Okay, so this one is inspired, I'm just looking at my screen, inspired by 50s and 60s Paisley scarf designs from the archives. And I quote, it revitalises the traditional Paisley motif with a spontaneous interplay of unfinished and intricately detailed elements. And it's part of the craftsmanship narrative of the collection. particularly lovely one. I mean, I'm showing these to you just in one colourway, but they do have other colour variations, I think. Okay, number 4, Iona Blossom. Okay, so this is actually inspired by Iphis, which is actually a modern version of Ianthe, and we did look at Ianthe earlier. I did show it to you when we were going around the exhibition. And it's called a sort of structural botanical, and it's got that distinctive repeat pattern to it. And they sort of call it Ianthe reflowering for a new generation, and it is part of the collectibles narrative. I really like this, a sort of nod to the past and to the future as well. I just think it's exceptionally pretty. So that is Iona Blossom. Okay, Cottage Garden. Let me move my screen down. Right, so this was originally created in 1974 by Susan Collier and Sarah Campbell, and it's been revived for the Autumn-Winter 25 collection. So it was originally inspired by a visit to the Chelsea Flower Show, and it's a hand-painted design featuring roses, daisies, fuchsia, bluebells and morning glory. I would say it's very much of its time for a 1974 print, but it looks equally great today. Really beautiful, and I especially like this this coloration that I'm showing it to you in here. Okay, number 6, Huckle. Now this one takes inspiration from a 1904 Liberty pattern, and it's kind of conversational really, and it features these simplified birds and plants, and it emphasises the bold outlines with minimal detailing, so it's kind of quite graphic. Called Huckle. Beautiful. So it's number 6. Some of you may have bought some of these already and might be making things in them, so do share. Right, number 7. Number 7 is Clementina Poppy, and this is a combination, like the background is Poppy and Daisy, which is a absolute favourite of mine, and the foreground you've got Clementina sort of overprinted. So it's a kind of blockbuster Tarnalong Classics or Liberty Print Classics combination print really, isn't it, with these two prints colliding. And this is part of the collectibles narrative. Okay. And the last one in this collection is Memphis. In 1983, Liberty showcased the Memphis design group, and they've kind of used the hallmarks and the handwriting of sort of Memphis design with playful sculptural forms and optical clashing patterns here, with florals, with the sort of the stripes against the curves and the sort of the graphic nature of it. So this one's called Memphis, and that's the last one out of the autumn-winter from the studio range. And then I've got 2 more. So they've, like I said earlier, they've put together some prints, a print collection to run alongside the I Am We Are Liberty exhibition, which we looked at the beginning. And it's a collection of archival fabrics that pays homage to the design house's storied legacy of innovation and artistry, and they're inspired by the exhibition. And they capture the essence of Liberty's heritage through the ages, and I've chosen 2. So the first one is called Christabel, and it epitomises the stylistic hallmarks of the 1960s Art Nouveau revival. So, sorry, this is called Christabel Poppy, and it was inspired by, I'm reading this directly from Liberty's text here, Christabel Poppy was inspired by a 1900s design attributed to British artist and designer Henry Napier, produced by Liberty as both a dress fabric and a scarf between 1959 and 1981. This striking pattern is defined by a structured yet organic layout of stylised poppies entwined with sinuous winding foliage, while monochromatic hues further heighten the dramatic line work. And I think they do actually have this in other colourways, but I particularly like this this monochrome version. So that's Christabel Poppy. And the last one, last but not least, this is gorgeous, Eustacia. Again, a quintessential Art Nouveau botanical, first printed in 1960, part of Liberty's trend-setting Lotus fabric collections, flowering arrangement of curling petals, decorative foliage and sculptural stems, crisp, confident outlines frame flat planes of colour, striking a balance between softness and structure. So those are my favourite prints from the new Autumn Winter 25 range, and a couple from the collection that they've designed alongside the exhibition that we looked at. Have you been to the exhibition? Have you got a favourite print from those ranges? Did you take part and make a patchwork square for the Patchwork House installation? Please share with us. And if you're interested in a bit more history about Liberty, I love books and I've got a lot of books, and I just wanted to share with you these books, and I'll put links to them below. These 3 lovely books. The first one, Liberty, in no particular order, Liberty, the Archivists edit, which is a great one. They're all great. Liberty, the History, Treasures from the Archives is another one. And then probably my most favourite is Liberty Star by Martin Wood. And I think I bought this one most recently, actually. And I'll link to those below if you're interested in having a look at those. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that and found it interesting. I must add, this video was supposed to go out last week. I did film it in time, but I didn't edit it because I wasn't very well and I had to take to my bed for a couple of days. So I did miss out last week on posting my blog. Sorry, normal service has resumed and I will be back next week. And I should add also, I'm on Instagram as well. So I usually put most weeks I'll put an Instagram post up just to alert you about my new video of the week, which comes out 10:30 on a Saturday morning now. So please follow me on Instagram. You can see a link below to that. That would be brilliant. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.